Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
This is our generation version of the gold rush, and I'm trying to be one of the first people out there with my pen.
The education and economics of medical marijuana sales in Louisiana.
It's our opinions that are going to shape where our state and where our country goes after this.
Our leaders of tomorrow having a voice in what is happening today.
As a startup business, you don't have unlimited resources.
Small businesses using a unique legal resource at Southern University. Hi everyone, I'm Natasha Williams.
And I'm Andre Moreau. More of those stories in a moment on this end of the year special edition of SWI. We're glad you're here and we thank you for letting us into your homes each week.
In tonight's broadcast, we're looking at some of the stories that have shaped Louisiana in 2019, others that could make headlines in the new year. We start with help for small business. Starting a small business can be overwhelming for anyone with little or no business experience working for themselves. But the Southern University Law Center is offering valuable resources free of charge for new entrepreneurs to help them cut through the red tape and establish a good legal foundation.
I'm just calling to let you know we have a guard.
It's a typical day at the Parker's Pharmacy on Florida Boulevard. Pharmacy staff is busy filling new prescriptions coming in every few minutes. The independent pharmacy owned by brothers Orlando and Kyle Palmer is not even 2 years old yet, but it's expanding this location and finalizing plans for a new pharmacy on South Sherwood Forest and Coursey in Baton Rouge.
As a startup business, you don't have unlimited resources.
That's where the Southern University Technology and Entrepreneurship Clinic stepped in to help.
Having that assistance in both the knowledge and absorbing some of the costs with some of the resources available to those new startup businesses, that was integral in our growth.
Utilizing students currently studying law at Southern University's law school, clients like Parker's Pharmacy get free legal advice and guidance on forming corporations, limited liability corporations, and partnerships. The clinic also focuses on trademark and patent law issues. The Southern University Law Center's Technology and Entrepreneurship Clinic is one of several law clinics on the college's Baton Rouge campus. But like few others in the state, its focus is on addressing a serious need for small business owners.
There are organizations in Louisiana that provide small business consulting, financial consulting, marketing consulting, but legal issues, as much as important they are and as crucial as they can get, they often overlooked. So it's one niche that we felt needs to be fulfilled, and that's how the idea of this business of their entrepreneurship clinic came about.
Marina Barogova is director of the Technology and Entrepreneurship Clinic.
We first filed an application with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, so now we're a USPTO certified clinic. We located right next to the Louisiana Small Business Development Center, which is absolutely crucial to our clinic. We work in a close partnership with our neighbors, and that's how we decided to locate our clinic in this particular place.
At their offices inside the Southern University Innovation Center, law students meet to work with some of the more than 140 clients they've helped since opening their doors a little over 2 years ago. The law students here are credited with helping more than 30 small startup businesses dot their I's and cross their T's.
This is the first clinic style course that I've seen at any of the universities around in Baton Rouge, anyway, law schools.
Longtime Baton Rouge patent attorney Dave Diesel is supervising attorney at the clinic. He directly worked with students who prepare documents that will be filed with the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
We give the students an opportunity to have real life experiences. We bring real clients in, and they meet and interview and get information.
And they're not just a traditional tenant because we've built an invaluable resource partnership with the clinic. We work with businesses through the LSBDC that are coming in looking for opportunities to scale and grow their businesses.
Dina Smith is Executive Director of Strategic Engagement at Southern University. She says the institution can be an invaluable resource to help entrepreneurs get on track and expand.
It's more like a seamless partnership. So they start off at the LSBDC and they secure all of the training for their businesses, whether it's a startup business, whether it's a business that wants to scale through contracting. And then they come over here to the incubator space and they can lease space, they can utilize the conference rooms, and then they can work with our student entrepreneurs, and then they find the Law Tech Clinic where they can secure those trademarks and patents and just make sure all of the contractual agreements are all in place.
The Palmer brothers are utilizing the resources available at Southern. They say when they decided to move back to their hometown and open shop, the law clinic was integral in helping them trademark their business.
Whenever anyone asked us about, hey, how do we get started, who handled this, who handled that, one of our very first responses is, hey, reach out to the tech center at Southern Law Center, and they're integral in helping you, even no matter what level you are in your business. They can get some answers to you and some additional resources to you, but both educational and moving forward.
The Technology and Entrepreneurs Clinic is very popular and currently has a waiting list for legal help. For more information on how you can contact them, you can do it by email. We've attached a link to their website on our website, lpb.org.
Well, Louisiana Economic Development nurtures small business, and they work to build current business and attract the new and diverse as well. The state continues to rank as a top 10 state for business growth and investment. So earlier, I asked Secretary Don Pierson to look ahead to what we will see in 2020.
We've got some great projects that are going to kick off LNG in a project over with Driftwood in the Lake Charles area. I think that's going to put a lot of industrial construction workers back on the job. We've got some great expansions ongoing in the software industry that we have around the state. But importantly to me is to continue these university partnerships, these partnerships with the community college that we have. Workforce is going to continue to be the coin of the realm to make states strong. What you really have to have in the future are these competency-based economies.
And that's one place that we've lacked, is in our university training and maybe not having where we needed to be.
Well, we need to continue to have that kind of focus on it. Your auto mechanic, your doctor, all of the trades have to continue to have education because of the technology advances that are out there. So it's not his problem or her problem. This is the challenge for all of us to think of lifelong learning and to have these institutions, whether it's online learning or whether it's going to your community college to get that accreditation that you need for that next job that you'd like to achieve, or the 4-year degree that you want in a field that is going to give you great employment after graduation. All of that's important, and it's integrated in the fabric of what we're working on.
What about another DXC Technologies? Anything like that coming in?
We've got a lot of capacity, but we're going to continue to build. There's sort of various segments of that workforce. So you want the jobs for our college graduates or our community college graduates with those accreditations to be able to step in. But there's also a high demand for that mid-level person, and those are much harder to come by and sometimes limit the ramp. We're going to make these ramps. We're doing it with IBM. We've achieved the numbers there that we set out to achieve. But you have to understand, it is a bit of a lift, but we're going to get there, and we're getting there back through those university partnerships that I talked about.
All right, Don, thank you.
Southern is one of 2 universities in Louisiana, along with LSU, allowed to grow medical marijuana. Both schools hired outside companies to handle their growth operations. And after several delays, Southern's first cannabis seeds were planted in July. But what now? Earlier this month, the university held a Cannabis and Hemp Symposium, hoping to educate those interested in the industry. David Patan Jr. is a New Orleans attorney on a mission.
I actually came here because I wanted to invest in myself and learn this information. I've been saying I wanted to get into the cannabis industry or learn about it so that I can start making moves for either Louisiana or maybe even possibly out of state.
The Southern Law School graduate joined other attorneys, students, and business owners at a 2-day Cannabis and Hemp Symposium at Southern this month, meant to inform and educate those interested in the medical marijuana industry. He says there are incredible business opportunities just waiting to be explored.
This is our generation's version of the gold rush, and I want to be part of it and create generational wealth for myself and my family.
I get a lot of emails from parents who we were told before they had to travel to other states to be able to get medicine for themselves or for their kids.
But the devil is in the details. Legal issues and regulations slowed LSU and Southern University, the only two universities allowed to grow medical marijuana in the state, from getting off the ground until this year. Although the law starting the program passed in 2015. Southern University's first cannabis seeds were planted in July.
It's a very large program. It's been 3 years in the making. There have been so many moving parts, even on the legislative front. So the initial bill has been changed 3 times. So one of the things that I wanted, like both LSU and Southern, to take their time because I don't want them to get it wrong, right? It took so much to get this passed. Neither one of the universities can fail at this point.
State Representative Ted James says the economic potential of medical marijuana and its byproducts could be a huge boost for the entire state.
And what we've learned today is there's so many technical questions, like just because you have land and just because you've been farming for the last 50 years, that doesn't mean that you necessarily can jump into this industry without doing the due diligence and learning. We heard, our definition is different from other states. So we have created a program that has so much potential. But what I don't want to see is people rush into the program and lose money because they haven't done the work to really learn and pull in people with the knowledge and expertise.
So currently we have over 30 states in the United States that have legalized marijuana in some form, as far as in medicinal form. And we have at least 11 states, with 2 others coming on board recently, who have legalized adult use medical cannabis as well. And so the trend of this industry is that we have to make sure that we are abreast of what's going on.
Marla Dickerson, director of the Continuing Legal Education and managing fellow of the Cannabis Compliance Law and Policy Institute at Southern University, says, along with a myriad of questions about the new potential multi-million-dollar industry in the state, there are deeper issues from the past dealing with marijuana that need attention too.
I think it's extremely important that any state that legalizes marijuana in any form concentrate on social equity programs and social justice programs. Social equity programs are important because we have folks, as you mentioned, who have been victims of the war on drugs, and they may either be currently serving time in prison or they may have been released. Based on regulations, in a lot of states, these folks are prohibited from entering into the market.
She says it is essential that this be addressed because the issue is one that greatly affects minorities.
So one of the things that I think should be concentrated on as far as social equity programs in order to get more minorities in the business, black and brown folks in the cannabis business, is that states need to look at possibly doing something like California did, where there's a point system for folks who have diversified folks who are involved in their business, to help aid in getting more people of color into the business as business owners. When you're looking at social justice reform and those folks who have been incarcerated or are still incarcerated, I think one of the main things that we need to look at are expungements of records.
I tried to just say cannabis, right? It's the same thing. We're talking about marijuana. But when you say marijuana to some folks, all they see is somebody smoking and rolling up. That's all they see. So I think that, we still are in a very conservative state.
But for those like Patan who want to learn more and possibly invest in cannabis, the symposium was a start in the right direction that he hopes will move the education process forward, creating new opportunities for everyone who wants in.
You start off, parents push you to, be a doctor, a lawyer. It's good and all, but at the end of the day, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to not work for someone. I want to create my own business and do it the way I want to do it. And like I said, it's a lot of money in this, so This is something that I've been interested in. I've always done papers on this in high school, college, speeches I've done. So it's always been something I've been interested in. And now that it's becoming more legalized in different places, and even here, just getting us our medical marijuana and hemp here, I mean, it's a big step. It's going to eventually be legalized everywhere. And you want to be one of the forefront, one of the people on the forefront, so you can benefit and prosper off of this.
Currently, there are 9 medical marijuana pharmacies in different parts of the state that will sell the product once it becomes available. A 10th could open later in an area of high demand.
Louisiana's year in politics culminated with the re-election of Governor John Bel Edwards. The bitter, mudslinging runoff became the fight for his political life as he edged past pro-Trump Republican Eddie Rispone. Watching the political drama unfold were members of the Legislative Youth Advisory Council. We wanted to hear their take on that race, on the political climate in the state, and the role they will play in 2020 and the future in general. The 2 LYAC members with me to talk about Louisiana's year in politics and more. Sophie Faircloth, a senior at Denham Springs High School in Denham Springs. Welcome to you and thanks for joining us. And also Grant Swear, a junior at Episcopal School of Acadiana in Lafayette. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
You're in a big role with what you do. What is it that you enjoy about being a representative for students across the state?
The really cool thing about LYAC is that we get to be the voice for people who sometimes don't have a voice or don't know how to express what they feel like they need. And sometimes it's hard for youth in Louisiana to feel like their opinion matters. But the real reality of it all is that it's our opinions that are going to shape where our state and where our country goes after this. So it's nice that we get to play a hand in it at such a young age.
That's putting a lot of responsibility on you. What about you, Grant?
That's exactly right, Sophie. And I think that it's given us an opportunity not just to have our own opinions heard, but also to form our own opinions, so that whenever we get older and our generation, takes the reins of government, we'll have a foundation as to deciding what direction we think Louisiana ought to be going in.
How do you look at this past year in Louisiana politics and why?
It's been a big year in Louisiana politics, more so on the tail end than people would have originally expected. And this governor's race has kind of sent Louisiana in kind of a tailspin, just because it's not really something that we're used to have something so bipartisan and something so
national
splitting.
Also,
yeah,
right?
Of course, and something that gained the attention from the White House directly.
Definitely.
So
that's unprecedented. I think we had 3 visits from the president just in the last, 2 weeks of the campaign, which is really incredible. But I think that it shows me that Louisiana voters, a lot of people think that we're in this time of toxic partisanship, and I think they're right. But I think that in this particular election, it kind of shows the ability of Louisiana voters to focus on a person rather than a party, especially in the gubernatorial election. And so I think that that's one of the things that our generation hopes that our leaders now can start to work on, so that whenever we get into that stage, we kind of have a leg up, working to solve the problems that Louisiana is facing. Because whether we like it or not, Sophie and I are going to go to college, and then we're going to be right here in Louisiana still trying to solve the same problems.
So do you get your voices heard directly, since you have inner workings of the government, the legislature? Can you say something directly to somebody that could be in a position to do something about it?
Well, the really awesome thing about LYAC is that we're able to form those connections and meet those people that are really important to our government and to our state at a young enough age that we can start making an impact right then and there. So even through civic education meetings and LPS, you also have their program, we've gotten to meet other students who maybe are involved in politics, other people from different institutions, people from different branches of the government who really have a hand in everything that's going on right now.
Let's talk about the governor's race and how it played out, about the campaigning, about the debates. What did you see, and how do you grade it?
Well, I saw, especially from Governor Edwards' side in the debates, I saw a lot of substantive focus on issues, almost a laser beam focus on policy. I noticed a bit of that from the Republican side as well, whenever Congressman Abraham was in the race still, whenever they had the three-way debate. And I was happy to see that, and I hope that we continue to see a growth in policy discussion. And so we can move the issues front and center rather than this trend nationally of mudslinging that we've seen in recent years and name calling, which I think to our generation is really discouraging because we're trying to decide, whether we as individuals want to step up and serve in our government and or try to serve the state in that capacity.
So if you're grading how the election played out, what grade would you give it? What letter grade would you give it?
That's a good question. I think that it kind of went down at the end. There was a little bit of there was a lot of negative advertising at the end, but I think
so. That would be a
B minus.
B minus,
probably so.
Okay,
yeah.
B minus, but that would be encouraging to some people. I would think a B minus. Some people might say D because they thought it was right in the gutter. Do you think that's just the way it is? That politics is just that way, or can it be better? Will it be better?
I think it's our job to make it better.
To make it better.
I think it definitely is. We're hoping to see progress. I was encouraged by the gubernatorial election. Definitely, I did see a bit of focus on policy, and for our generation, some of the issues that we're really worried about, though, the state is being left behind by the rest of the country.
What are some of those issues?
Well, while in Washington, we do see a lot of the same mudslinging. In other states, especially in the West and in the Northeast, we're seeing a lot of movement on issues like climate change, a lot of environmental issues. It's an issue that our generation holds very close to our hearts. We're very concerned about it. And that's an issue that Louisiana has been reluctant to face in recent years. Another one of those issues is education. Louisiana ranks last in public education out of the 50 United States. And so part of the problem is that we continue to cut education funding to fund other things that to our generation are a lot less important than getting schooled well and going to get good jobs.
As you look ahead to the new year, what are some of the things that you see being overplayed by government and things that should be played up more? Some of the important things that you believe need to be addressed and some of the things that maybe are not as important. What would you say?
I have to agree with Grant on the front of education. TOPS funding within our state is such a crucial part of Louisiana education in a way that we've been able to avoid the brain drain. It appears that in the future years, the expectations for TOPS and the requirements are going to continue raising, and they're going to raise next year for the class of 2021. I believe it's a 3.75 GPA as opposed to a 3.5 GPA for the top level. But we don't have an increased funding in education that's going to constitute being able to improve the quality of education that we have within the state. And it's not something that is really addressed, like Grant was saying, addressed as much as it should be, considering that it dictates the future that we have within our state.
Is there any other issue that is not necessarily political in nature, but that politicians may have a role in changing or shaping? What's something that's high on your list?
I don't know. I think part of it is a national trend that we've seen. This kind of move toward equality altogether, and so I think that obviously our government officials are searching for ways where maybe we should, even the gap between all races and genders of people. But I think that a lot of those issues have to be handled on an individual basis, person to person. But I do think that our leaders definitely play a role in shaping those opinions, and not just in a policy capacity. And I think that we should see a little bit more of that from our leaders.
Sophie and Grant, it's interesting that you guys are going to be talking to the leaders, so that's cool. A junior and senior right now, and if you go to Louisiana College, you would be two of the type of people that could be poster children for, we want you to stay in Louisiana when you finish college and prosper in your business. Thanks for being with us, and
thank you very
great
much.
success in
the
the
year. Of course,
year.
thank you so much.
Next week, SWI begins the new year with an exclusive sit-down interview with Governor John Bel Edwards.
Yes, we do. We talked about his next 4 years in office, of course, his goals and all that. We also talked about things that you don't always hear. We feel like we know you, but what is it about you that maybe we don't know? Like, for example, what would be the perfect night out for you and your wife?
Well, the perfect night out for me is to go to Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night and watch LSU win. But I'm not going to say that would be Donna enjoys that, but I don't know that that's her perfect one.
Our exclusive New Year conversation with Governor John Bel Edwards. It's a good one, and it's 1 week from tonight, January 3rd at 7 on LPB. And everyone, that's our show for this year. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime, wherever you are, with our brand new app.
Download it for free from your app store. This upgraded version features news, public affairs, documentaries, how-tos, and many more programs. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For all of us here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Moreau.
And I'm Natasha Williams. Hope you enjoy the rest of your holidays and have a happy new year. We thank you for watching.
Until next time and year, that's the state we're in.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.